but it is a word. Job chapter number 37, we're going to be reading from the NIV version of the Bible, and we're dealing tonight with this evening with the valley of dry bones.
All right.
The valley of dry bones. You there?
Amen.
37:1 says, "The hand of the Lord was on me, and he brought me out by the Spirit of the Lord and set me in the middle of a valley. It was full of bones. He led me back and forth among them, and I saw a great many bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were very dry.
Mercy.
He asked me, 'Son of man, can these bones live?' I said, 'Sovereign Lord, you alone know.' Then he said to me, 'Prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will breathe into you, and you will come to life. I will attach tendons to you and make flesh come upon you and cover you with skin. I will put breath in you, and you will come to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord.' So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I was prophesying these, there was a noise, a rattling sound, and the bones came together, bone to bone. And I looked, and tendons and flesh appeared on them, and skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. So breath in them. There was no breath.
Mercy.
In them. There was no breath in them. Then he said to me, prophesy to the breath. Prophesy, son of man, and say to it, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Come, breath, from the four winds, and breathe into these slain, and they will, what? Live. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and breath into them. They came to life and stood up on their feet as a vast army. Look at somebody and tell them tonight, don't count me out. Don't count me out. I need a good church in here tonight. Y'all don't play with me. I came to feel like preaching today. I need you to look at somebody else that can just catch it and tell them, don't count me. Don't count me out. Don't count me out. Don't count me. Don't count me out. Don't count me out. Let me say it just for a little bit. Don't count me. Don't count me out. No. Don't get caught up in what I look like at this present moment. Don't get caught up in what it seems like. Don't count me out.
Come on, Bishop.
Yes, God. Thank you, Lord.
After about 14 years of preaching and doing ministry, there's one area of ministry that I can really do without, and that area is dealing with death. It's dealing with death, and although death is a natural way of life, there is something about dealing with the dead that just overwhelms my spirit, and it makes me have to deal with this dry place.
That's right.
Death is dry.
Yeah.
I can do without the stillness of the funeral home. You know, they walk a certain way. They look a certain way. When you walk in there, it smells a certain way. I just don't like dealing with death. They walk funny. They drive funny. Everything is just slow. Everything is just still. Everything just overwhelms me. They're already dead, and you ain't got no smile on your face. You already have to deal with the overwhelming feeling of this.
Mercy.
I don't like the spirit of finality from the graveyard. When I put them there, I know it's just this is it. This is over.
Yeah.
This is ashes to ashes and dust to dust.
Mercy.
This is just it. I don't like dealing with that. But moreover, just like that feeling of death overwhelms me, there's someone sitting in this place. Someone sitting in this very room, sitting right here today, that is in an overwhelming situation. And while someone may not be physically dead, you are dealing with what seems to be a dead a dead situation. You know what it looks like. You know what it feels like. You don't know how you're going to come out of what you're in. You came in on your back, but I prophesy in this place today that although you may have came in on your back, God said tonight, I'm going to put you back on your feet.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
Well, now.
I've been dealing with some dead stuff. So we find ourselves here in Ezekiel 37:1, where it says, the hand of the Lord was on me, and he brought me out by the Spirit of the Lord and set me in the middle of a valley. It was full of bones. He said, he led me back and forth among them. I saw great many bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were what? Dry. It's one thing to be in a dry place by yourself.
Mercy.
It's one thing to be in a dry place by yourself, but it's another thing to be in a dry place at the same time everyone else is in a dry place. Y'all ain't saying nothing to me. Have you ever been in a situation in your life to where you know you can't help yourself and your friend can't help you either? Your mama can't help you, your daddy can't Western Union you enough money. You're just at a place in your life to where you broke, your friends broke, your family broke. You all dealing with a dead situation. It seems like you're all on the dead end street, walking down the same pathway. Have you ever been in that place? Am I talking to the right crew? Because if I'm not talking to the right crew, Pastor, I might as well pack up and go home tonight. But if there's someone in here that can just wave your hand, if you even don't want to say a word, that can say, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. I've been there, I'm there right now. No one has any money, no one has any cash flow. Your education ain't getting you no job, and you know you stayed in school, and you got tuition, and you got all this stuff, and Sally Mae is on your nerves, and you still ain't got no job. I wish I had somebody in here that can say, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. They're about to foreclose on your house, kick you out your apartment, cut your utilities off, and you're sitting there, and can't nobody help you. Your church ain't got enough money because folk don't want to tithe, so they can't pay your bill. Your pastor can't pay your bill. You can't pay your bill. And I'm here in a valley on dead bones, and everything is dry, and everybody that's hanging with me is dry too.
My Lord, today.
Everybody is in a dry situation. Everybody's in a dry place. Everybody's on the same boat. We all on the same boat, and it ain't raining. It ain't raining, but we all on the same boat. We all on the same boat. And what makes this situation even worse is the fact that you can't hide your situation.
Amen.
Mercy.
That's right. Amen. Yes, God.
Jesus.
You can't hide what you're going through. You can't hide what you're dealing with. Even if you wanted to hide it, you can't hide it.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody see what your need is. Everybody see you needing something.
Yes.
And as much as you put makeup on, and as much as you get weave in your hair, do your hair, and put on your good clothes, old woman say you throw on your bottom drawer clothes, you know, those clothes you save for good events, and you get your good heels on, and you get your best purse out, and you get your best suit and your best tie, and you squirt your Versace on, and your polo, and you squirt yourself up real good, and you're smelling good, and you still can't hide what you're going through. You come in and the preacher still call you out and tell you you're going to get what you've really been dealing with. I see you smelling good. I see you. But on the inside of you, there's something else that you're needing from the Lord, and you can't hide it even if you wanted to.
Yes, God. Thank you, Lord.
Because This valley that we're talking about is described in the text of what I like to call it was an open valley.
Yeah. That's right.
It was an open valley. Everyone can see you lying in the valley.
All right.
Everybody sees you in the valley. Everybody sees and knows where you're. They ain't gotta call mama and them trying to figure out where's Kobe at today, where's AC at today. They ain't gotta know because they in the valley with you, and the people that have the ability to bring you out of the valley just walking by you. And they see you in the valley. They see you in the valley. You can't hide it if you want to. And the sad thing is that those people who are looking at you in the valley, they're just passing you by,
Shaking their head.
counting you out
Mercy.
with their nose in the air, saying to themselves, can anything good
Ha.
come out of the valley? Can anything good come out of New Generation? Can anything good come out of the Stone? They see you in the valley. They don't have to ask you where your church is. They know where your church is. They don't have to ask you where you're located. They know what your location is. And all they want to know is, can anything good come out of that place? Can anything good come out of that? Can anything good come out of that? Just tap somebody and ask them, can anything good come out of that? Anything good come out of that? Anything good come out of that? Folk have walked by you and deemed you dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah, they did.
Saying to themselves, nothing good could come out of that valley.
Mercy.
And while Ezekiel is walking through the valley, we find the Lord asking Ezekiel a question. Verse number 3, he says, and he asked me, son of man, can these bones live?
Well.
He said, I said, sovereign Lord, you alone know that. Ezekiel's response was a little sarcastic, if you ask me. What he was really saying is, Lord, you see these bones lying in this valley, and if anyone is able to make them live again, you're the one who can make them live again. Why are you asking me a question about something you have the ability to change yourself? Sarcastic fella. Sarcastic fella. But then Ezekiel 37 verse 4 says, then he said to me, prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make breath into you. You will come to life, and I will attach tendons to you and make flesh come upon you and cover you with skin. I will put breath in you and you will come to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord.
Yes.
And it's in these few verses that we find our hope. It's a good. Isn't it good to know that we have a God that specializes in things that seem impossible?
Yes, Lord.
I ain't trying to sound cliche, but it's good to know that I have a God who specializes in making things that I cannot make come alive again, Lord Jesus. It's good to know that I have a Savior that looks beyond my faults, and he sees all of my needs, and although sometimes it feels like I'm in a dead situation, it's a thing, oh Lord, to know that I have a God that loves me, even when I don't deserve his love, even when I don't deserve his kindness, even when I'm in a dead, dry place, I still have a God I can call on that can turn my dead things into living things.
Yes, sir.
Catch this. Because when the Lord changes your situation,
Come on, Bishop.
the Lord does not change you from the outside and work his way on the inside.
Come on, God.
What I like about the Lord is that he works his, he works it out pass from the inside out.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of getting your outside together if your inside ain't fit for nothing? What's the purpose of putting skin and flesh on you if you ain't got no organs to make that thing function the way he wants it to function when it needs to function? When God changes your situation, he's just not going to fix you on the outside, but he's going to work himself from the inside. Somebody just slap your neighbor and tell him, Lord, just work on me. Work on me. Work on me, Lord. Work on me, Lord. Work on me, Lord. Work on me from the inside out. Lord, I don't care if my hair is nappy as long as I got the Holy Ghost. I don't care, Lord, if my breath stinks just as long as I can get a word. Just as long as I got enough sense to lay hands on myself when I'm sick. Lord, work on me from the inside out. Give me some power so that I can operate and function. Give me a word so that I can live. Oh, Lord Jesus. I wish I had a church in here that can just say, Lord, work on me.
Work on me.
Work
Jesus.
on me. Work on me. Work on me. Take out everything on the inside of me that does not need to be there. Lord, work on me. Take that lust out of me. Take that demon out of me. Take that perversion out of me. Take it out of me. Work on me. Work on me. Work on me. Now it ain't about your friend. It ain't about who you sitting close to. It's about Lord working on me. Because at the end of the day, when your butt die, I don't care how many best friends you got to have yourself together. Work on me. Work on me. Just slap yourself. Tell yourself, work on yourself. The Lord will work on you.
My God.
Oh, thank you, Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
A lot of times we look at who else? Our neighbors and all these other folk trying to get the speck out of their eye. When we got a log in our own eye. Somebody say, work on yourself. Learn how to cut that log out of your own eye before you try to cross the street and deal with what I'm dealing with. Learn how to get yourself together. Get yourself together. Get yourself together. Because when the Lord changes your situation, he works from the inside.
Good, Bishop. That's good.
37 and 7 of Ezekiel says, so I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I was prophesying, there was a noise, a rattling sound. And the bones came together. Bone to bone. Bone to bone. Bone to bone. When the Lord changes your situation, he starts from the what?
Inside.
And there was a noise and things began to come together. Bone to bone. Bone to bone was first, right? Bone to bone. And then he said, I looked and tendons and flesh appeared on them. Tendons and flesh covered the what? The bones. Bone to bone, tendons and flesh. Bone to bone, tendons and flesh. And then as the flesh appeared, then I covered it with what? Skin. I covered it with skin, but there was still no breath in them. God sent a word, there was a noise, and bone came together. Lord Jesus, I wish I had a musician that can just stay right along in there with me. God sent a word. There was a noise and bones came together. Oh, let me say right there just for a moment. God sent a word. There was a noise and bones came together. Y'all acting real slow. Let me say it one more time before you make me break it down. God sent a word that said live. God sent a word that said don't you die on me. God sent a word that said don't count me out. God sent a word and then there was a noise. And then things came together. I wish I had some noisy folk in here that can realize that when God sends a word that says don't count me out, you need to learn how to praise him in advance. Because when you praise God, then things will come together. I know you're tired. I know it's Valentine's Day. I know you're ready for me to stop preaching. I know you want to be blued up. I know you want to be at red house. I know you want to, but it don't. What good is Lift up your hands. Oh, Lord Jesus. Because when I make a noise, things come together. Things come together. God sent a word. There was a noise. Things start coming together. Whenever you get into a dry place, the first thing you need to do is not pick up the phone and see what Periscope person is speaking a word. You need to get on your face. You need to open up your Bible and you need to get a word. And when you get a word, then you start making a noise. You don't wait till you get to church to make a noise. You make a noise in your house, in your bedroom, in your shower, while you're getting dressed, while you're eating breakfast, you're making up a noise. When you go to work, you make up a noise. When you're driving home, you make up a noise. It doesn't matter if they look at you crazy and ask you what you're doing. You start making a noise because you understand that things are coming together when I learn how to praise God from a dry place. God sent a word. There was a noise. And bone to bone, flesh to flesh. Skin covered the flesh. Things began to come together. Touch your neighbor real quick and tell him you can't afford to be quiet. 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 You can't afford not to dance. You can't afford not to open your mouth. You can't afford not to lift your hands. You can't afford not to run when they say run. You can't afford not to do it. You can't afford not to do it because there's too much predicated on you running. It's too much predicated on you lifting your hands. And all I got to do is lift my hands and praise them from a dry place and things start coming together. I'm going to be running like a fool. I'll be dancing like a fool. I'll be shouting till I'm hoarse. I'll be singing until I can't sing no more because I understand that when I praise him, things began to change. Coming together. Just look at somebody and tell them it's coming together. 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 I'm prophesying right now. You ain't received it. It's coming together. 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 Somebody gonna catch it in a minute. It's coming together. It's coming together. It's coming together. It's coming together. Let me give you a scripture to go away with it. It's coming together. It's coming together. It's coming together. It's coming together. If the birds in the air don't worry about what they eat, why you worried about it? It's coming together. It's coming together. If he can feed a rat, he can feed you. It's coming together. Why you worried about things that you ain't got no control over? It's coming together. It's coming together. If he can place a worm in the ground for a bird to get nourishment, what more are you than the birds of the sky? What more are you than a rat crawling in a hole? If God can do it for them, God can. It's coming together. It's coming together. It's coming together. Prophesy to the next person sitting next to you. Just leave it sitting there and tell them it's coming together. It's coming together. It's coming together. It's coming together. Don't count me out yet. Don't get rid of me yet. Don't go in the tower yet. It's coming together. The money is coming. My joy is coming. My peace is coming. My happiness is coming. I feel my strength coming. It's coming together. I can feel some strength from the Lord. It's coming together. Bone to bone. Flesh to flesh. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming together. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming together. It has no other choice but to
it got to come together.
come
Glory.
together. But y'all sit down.
Yes, God. Thank you, Jesus.
Jesus.
But what good is it coming together if it still ain't breathing?
Mercy.
Come on now.
That's good right there, Bishop.
What good is it coming together, sister? If you still ain't got breath. You look good in your khakis and your sweater. You look good. You look good and your lipstick matched the pink in your shirt. I see you. You got your gold accents on with your shoes. I understand that. But what good is you to look as good as you do and you're not breathing?
Come on,
Mercy.
My God. My God.
What good is that? What good is that? It's Valentine's Day and all y'all got your red and your black on, but what good is that if you're not breathing?
Mercy.
A man can't use you if you ain't breathing.
Breathe, God. Breathe. Mercy.
Woman ain't good to a man unless you're breathing. A man ain't good for a woman unless he's breathing. I ain't talking about this air we sucking up now.
Come on.
I'm talking about you need something that's going to sustain you.
Yes. That's right.
What good are you in breathing?
Come on now.
Although the bones were together, the bones still wasn't breathing.
Jesus.
Corpse sitting in a funeral home, not breathing. So we find ourselves here in verse number 9, where it says, verse number 8, the B clause, excuse me, it says, but there was no breath in them. How many of you know that this time around, God is just not going to put you together without giving you power to and giving you the things that you need to survive.
Yes.
Listen, have you ever gotten things together finally and you still felt like you was missing something?
Mercy.
You didn't have no power. You didn't have no Holy Ghost. You didn't have nothing that was going to help you survive when you needed to survive. But I heard the Lord say, don't count you out yet. I see you there. You out of the valley. You're looking good now. You got skin on. And put some hair follicles on. You got some nails now. You're ready to go down to the shop. But all you need now is a little power. All you need now is a little breath in your body. And then he said to them, he said to me, prophesy to the breath. Prophesy, son of man. Say to it, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Come, breath, from the four winds and breathe into these slain so that they may what live. And so I prophesied as I was commanded and breath into them, and they came to life, and they stood up on their feet as a vast and mighty army. They stood up on their feet as a vast and mighty army. Okay, I need you to do something for me. Just grab the hand of the person that is sitting next to you for a moment. I promise you we out of here. I'm going to let you go home and enjoy your Valentine's Day. Unless Pastor Elliott call me again on Valentine's Day. Church, y'all ain't got to worry about me accepting another invitation when Valentine's falls on a Sunday. But we going to get out of here. But before we go, I just want to know, before you go sit down with your boo, I want to make sure you breathe in the right thing. I don't want you huffing and puffing tonight. Oh, Lord, with no Holy Ghost. I need you to have the Holy Ghost that's going to stop you from huffing and puffing, dealing with the wrong. Lord, y'all ain't talking to me. I know I need some people in here. Just prophesy to that person sitting next to you. Prophesy to that person next to you and tell them 2 words. Breathe again. Breathe again. Breathe again. Breathe again. Walk in what God has told you to walk in. Walk in what God has told you to walk in. Walk in your destiny. Walk in your destiny. Fulfill your purpose. Fulfill your calling. Don't count me out. Slap somebody and tell them, don't count me out. I got work to do. I got souls to save. I got lives to save. I got community to reach. I got folk I got to baptize. I got churches I got to buy. I got places I got to go. I got sermons I got to preach. I got classes I got to teach. I got seminars I got to go to. I got airplanes I got to get on. I got to go. I got a Sunday to go. Don't count me out. I was dry till it breathed on me. I was dry till it broke things together. I was days shall be greater than your former. Slap somebody and tell them I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward. I'm not looking back. I don't care what's left behind me, but I've got something ahead of me. I got a real surprise. I'm behind going. I got heaven in my view. Don't count me. Don't
Yes, Lord.
count
Thank you, Lord.
Yes,
me.
God.
Yes, God.
Yes, Jesus.
Don't
Thank you, Holy Ghost.
count
Yes, God.
me.
Yes, God.
Thank you, Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Glory to you, God. Thank you, Lord.
Don't count
Jesus.
me.
Thank you, Jesus.
Remember,
Thank you,
the
God.
God we serve specializes in resurrections.
Yes, God.
The God we serve specializes in resurrection.
Thank you, God.
If he can make a valley
Yes, God.
of dry and lifeless bones
Yes, God.
come back to life,
Yes, God.
if he can make the dumb talk,
Yes, God.
the lame to walk,
Yes, God.
if he can make Lazarus
Yeah.
get up from his dying bed,
Yes, God.
what more are they than you?
Jesus.
If God can do it for them,
Yes, God.
God is gonna do it
Yeah.
for you.
Yes, God. Thank you, Jesus.
Don't get caught up
Yes, God.
about the valley,
Yes, God.
because the valley only lasted for a little while.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that if they're that decomposed and so dry and brittle that they had been there for a while,
Yes.
That's good.
because it takes a long time for the process of decomposure to happen to
That's
a
right.
body.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, God.
That's good.
And some of you are in that place to where you feel like, when is the Lord going to come for me?
My God. My God. My God.
When is the Lord going to do what I've been asking
Thank
him
you,
to?
Holy Spirit. Thank you.
And you see yourself in the valley
My God.
decomposing.
My God. My God. My God.
Flesh is falling off your bones.
My God.